Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Real World Productivity Podcast. I'm Adam Moody, and today I'm talking with Pauline Malubay, small business operations expert and business growth strategist, about her background and experiences. Definitely going to deep dive into processes here, and hopefully everyone else, and myself included, can learn from her. So welcome, Pauline.
Hi, Adam, and Adam's show listeners. Well, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me. Super
Definitely.
glad to be here.
Well, yeah, let's just jump right in. So my first set of questions is really just about you. I'm interested, and I'm sure everyone else is. Could you just tell us about yourself as much or as little as you want to share with all of us?
Yeah, so I'm at the moment I have two businesses. I have a agency where we're a digital agency, and we help 6-7 figure entrepreneurs, female visionaries, with everything that is not their zone of genius. So think marketing, think sales, think operations. They outsource that to us. We take care of it, and they just do what they love to do. And I'm launching my advisory side of the business, which is an accelerator program for struggling entrepreneurs, and it's getting them on the path to being profitable and to that 6-figure path that a lot of brand new entrepreneurs hope to get to. So those are my two sides of the business. And I am a aspiring digital nomad. I have not been able to travel.
Yeah.
I would have been traveling by now, but of course we are still in the COVID-19 stuff. But that's in the works. That's been in the works since I can remember, since I heard of that term. And I am a power lifter, or was getting back into it now that gyms have reopened in the United Kingdom. And my goal is to basically empower a lot of brand new entrepreneurs that were amazing employees, get their footing in this online business world that's a little bit messy and confusing and overwhelming at times, and helping them start their own online business so they can also achieve, the independent lifestyle, the freedom, financial freedom that everyone craves.
Definitely.
That's me.
Wow. All right. Well, we got several things there I want to definitely circle back to, but I'm certainly interested as someone who's involved in processes, helping others with processes and ironing things out. I got to know what's your normal routine like? We hear a lot about it being important, but I always like to ask people, what do you do or what do you try to do on like a daily basis that helps you?
Yeah, so there's there's the question, right? There's the ideal day that I always put on my calendar is the main thing, and then there's what I actually realistically do.
Yep.
Um, and I used to be a lot more disciplined when we were allowed with other people, because I'm one of those people that don't like letting other people down.
Hmm.
So when I know I have to go to the gym with a training partner of mine, I wake up early because I'm more of an early riser when I really need to be. I used to row in university, and we used to get up at like 4:30 a.m. to row at 5:30, something ridiculous. So I always strive to wake up early, because I always like to think I always like to do my my meditation, my coffee. I need coffee. I don't
Yeah.
know what everyone else.
Yeah, I'm on board.
Water. I'm not one of those people that's like no caffeine. So I get up, I have loads of water, I sit still, I do my journaling. I say that, but it's kind of hit and miss. I'm not perfect. I do my 5-minute meditation. I have the Shine app. There's a ton. And that's really important. And what I've realized, if I don't meditate for 5 minutes, I feel really off. Once you get into a habit of it and you don't do it, I feel really off. And I don't actually look at anything, or none of my to-do lists, because I look at that the night before.
Hmm.
So I kind of start to visualize what my next day would look like before the night before. And I try to get an early training. I'm really lucky that I now have my own business that I can just go to the gym around 2 p.m., which is my peak training time.
Hmm.
A lot of people like to train in the morning. I've tried it. I don't have the energy. I need a lot of food already in my system. So I do my training around lunchtime, actually. So the beginning of my day, it's a lot of like meditating, drinking lots of water, and getting to do things that are hard for me. Like my brain needs, once my brain needs is caffeinated, then I can do what I really need to get done that day. I prioritize it. And then by 11 or 12, I'm ready to get out of the house and go for a walk or something. Normally walk to the gym, something like that. And then meetings tend to happen in the afternoon. So I can just bang 3 to 5 meetings a day if I really need to, especially with the Zoom stuff. Um, and what works for me is that I have to book everything, and I need to be in the flow. A lot of my um, teammates or like colleagues or my contractors, they think I'm crazy, but I tell them I have to do emails for 2 hours and that's it. Like 2 emails for 2 hours, just. And I hate it when people email me. I always say Slack it to me. I hate emails. I'm always about inbox zero, and it's kind of like my pet peeve when there's like random emails in my inbox that I don't need.
All right, so
Um,
I've got to dig in deeper on this. So this is of interest to me, because I use email, I use Slack. I guess,
yeah.
can you talk a little bit more about how you use Slack? Because to me, that can also be an interference or distraction, right? So how do you use it so it isn't kind of a instant distraction as opposed to email where it could pile up on you? Like, how do you deal with that?
Yeah, so I use Slack when I need to take a break. That sounds really strange to people. So there's some activities where I can do it while listening to like a true crime podcast or a productivity podcast. Like I don't want to say mindless tasks, but they're tasks that don't probably take about 30 to 40% of my brain power.
Hmm.
So I give myself Slack time where I can like almost take a break from like the task that takes like 80% of my brain, i.e. copywriting, coming up with original content, doing a podcast. So then I do what I call like customer service
Hmm.
or team check-ins. And I do that in the morning. I do it 3 times a day. So morning after I've done my priority tasks, afternoon, just after I get back from my walk, or actually sometimes I do it while I'm at the gym as well, just in between sets, because
Yeah.
it's just time killing time.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and then and then and I'm really bad at this, and it should really be earlier and around 5 p.m.
Hmm.
Um, and I don't really like that because sometimes some clients they reply to me and then I almost regret looking at Slack because I'm like, oh, I don't have an excuse. I have to reply to this. And it's already
Yeah.
5 p.m. But sometimes they don't. So actually my day is shifted. So I don't actually start working till 11 a.m.
Hmm.
Until the evening because I tend to sleep in. Sometimes I wake up at like 7 a.m. I'm not one of those 5 a.m. people. Sometimes I think the earliest I've woken up during the pandemic was probably like 6 a.m. like once a month. Most of my wake up time is like 7:30, 8, 9:30, and then I don't start working until 11. But that's like one of the best thing about being your own boss and not being
Yeah.
in employment. You can dictate your time. So I'm really, really blessed with that. And a lot of people don't have that option. And I work with a lot of US clients. So immediately my time zone has to be shifted because EST and CST and the 6 other time zones that we have in the US. But yeah, I work with a lot of EST people.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Let's see. Yeah, the meditation part that really struck home for me. And then the Shine app, I'll put that in the show notes. How do you, and like you said, even 5 minutes of meditation is really good for you. We've talked about this with several guests, but do you have a way or any recommendations for people who may be like, yeah, I want to meditate, but I just don't know. Do I need to like go to some special training or like, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah, meditation, you don't have to do it. And actually, it took me a while to get into a meditation practice. And each time I stop for like a month or so, it's easier for me to go back again and
Hmm.
start it back up again. It's like riding a bike. It's like going back to the gym again. Um, and for people, you don't have to there's so many free apps and there's so many ways to meditate. For me, I can't. So I used to live with someone that they can just sit still for 20 minutes just with their thoughts, like with no I need guided meditation.
Hmm.
But my housemate at the time, she just used to sit with her little cushion for like 20 minutes. And I used to think, how do you do that? Like, I cannot deal with that. So you need to find the right one. Some people really like visualization meditations. Some people like the affirmation ones as well, where some people are really, integrated with yoga. I'm not that kind of person.
Hmm.
But just find ways that work with you and just YouTube it. There's so many great YouTube meditations, free meditations. There's a lot of freebies of free meditations, but it's finding for you, just experiment basically.
Yeah.
You don't need anything fancy. I can't do anything longer than 15 minutes. For me, the sweet spot is 5 to 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Most days I do 5 minutes. And actually, I think for some people, they actually need to reverse engineer it. So rather than using meditation as like a proactive tool,
Mhm.
they should use it as a reactive tool. What I mean by that is, if you get a crappy email, if suddenly a client, you're suddenly gonna get fired, or a loved one said something bad to you and you
Mhm.
feel a reaction arising, that's the perfect time to go and do a meditation. Because that's actually tell you get in meditation. The whole point of meditation is that you observe what you're feeling and your thought and your reaction, and then you try not to react in a way that's detrimental to you. So that's for newbie meditation people. That's what I always advise. Use it as a reactive tool rather than a proactive tool.
I like that too. And I mean, just personally, that's, I tried off and on for years. And then, I mean, books say this, trainings say this, don't get hung up on not doing it all the time. And I kind of got hung up on doing it on a regular basis. And, I just finally, then it did struck me one day that, oh, I just need this when I need it. It's not, and
Yeah.
for everyone, it's different. I'm sure there's some people where it's like, yeah, half an hour is great. And I do it daily. And for me, that wasn't the trick. So I really do like your idea of saying, hey, just try the apps, try YouTube, find what works because it is so personal.
Yeah, definitely. It's like, how do you like to go to the gym? Some people
Yeah,
like to run, some people like to lift weights. Find some people like to go to group classes. Do what works for you.
definitely. Well, switching gears slightly. So, as a small business operations expert, you're highly involved in processes. This is great. I'm curious, how did this come about? How did you become that person?
Yeah, so I was working as a user researcher, and then I was also in sales. I did a lot of things,
Hmm.
but as a user researcher in a product design agency, I really hated how my agency was run.
Hmm.
And it was a startup and it was a small business, and I love my boss, but I just hated the fact that he kept making an excuse that um, the way things were run were messy, because we were a startup. And I was like, there's just something really wrong with that notion that just because we're a startup, operations are going to be messy. Like, we just have to expect operations to be messy. The employees are expected to just figure things out,
Yeah, yeah.
and I hated that. I hated that so much, and it really irked me so much. And then when I started my side hustle business, I had a few clients. So I was launching podcasts, actually. That was like my little side hustle.
Hmm.
And that was also, there's a lot of, project management, operational stuff related to launching podcasts and working with the CEO, because and their contractors. And my clients were just telling me, oh my God, you're so organized. Like, I wish you like organized the rest of my business. And that kind of spiraled from there. And now I work with a lot of 6-figure CEOs. And and the amazing thing about it is that they don't need that much tweaking. That you just need to set the things that they do on the daily, document it, and make sure that other people are following what the guidelines are,
Yeah.
and making sure that their culture has that operational, organized system in place. And then it's like rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat.
Well,
And I
then,
just
yeah, that
remember,
kind of, oh, go ahead.
yeah,
Oh,
go for
I was
it.
just gonna say, well, you're kind of. I had another question for you, and you're leading into it, I think. But so, where do you see then that most people have the most problems with process development and implementation? Is it like you said? Are they kind of there? They just need that push to like, hey, finalize it, make it part of the culture, just do it. Is that kind of?
It's so simple,
Yeah.
right? And it's because so many startups, visionaries, solopreneurs that want to scale, whoever the CEO and founder of the business is, they're so, and to be fair, it's not a detriment necessarily. It's actually a good trait for a CEO to be a visionary, to be moving, move things, break whatever the slogan is. But I always tell them, you have to slow down to speed up,
Hmm.
because if you don't have operations and systems in place and you don't slow down, might take a month, might take 2 months, might take 6 months, depending how big your business is. But you don't take the time to train your employees about how certain things are, um, streamlined, or certain processes are documented, which sounds I keep telling them operations is not sexy, but you have to do it, because what happens is if you do get the clients and you have to operate at 100 times what you were doing before, things start to break.
Yeah.
You're going to lose those clients. The client experience is gone. And I lost the side of your question now. But yeah, so the main problem is a lot of visionaries just don't slow down, speed up.
Gotcha. Well, I really like that. That is a different slow down and speed up. And
Yeah.
I really like that. I think it was, this may be in many more places, but most recently I've seen it with like the US Navy SEALs. I think it's like slow is smooth, and smooth is fast, right? So like go slow, just get those repetitive processes, make them more complex over time, and then you can really just crank through stuff.
Yeah. And it's actually, I think it's one of the, it's a principle that I learned when I was rowing
Mm.
and I was never a good rower because I
Yeah,
was
well,
very,
I'd say, yeah, I've rowed too, and I wasn't that great, but I can
yeah, it's
understand
like,
that like going quickly right off the bat is a terrible idea, and it's going to be really painful.
yeah, and there's specific, and it's only 3 moves. This is what rowing is a really boring sport, really, to be honest. You look at it objectively. It's 3 moves that you just have to get perfectly, and that everyone in that boat needs to get perfectly in sync. And that's how
Yeah.
you speed up. But there's specific bit in the move where you actually have to slow it down, speed the whole thing up, speed the whole boat up. And it's
Hmm.
such a great analogy. And it's something that really struck with me. And a lot of business owners, they feel like if they even stop to document processes, and if they even audit what they're doing,
Yeah.
that they're gonna lose so much revenue, and they're gonna, all of this stuff, and there's that fear. And it's if you once someone has grasped the concept of you have to slow down, speed up, then you know that they're gonna get to that 6-figure, 7-figure, whatever market is they want to be in.
That is great advice. Yeah, everyone listening can definitely, I know we can all put that to use. I mean, I'm guilty. Everyone's guilty of it. You've really got to take that time to take a breath, review, reflect, see what you're doing, where can we improve, things like that. It doesn't have to be every day maybe, but I agree, you've got to take that time. And I'm going through this myself, building my team. So we add more people, you've got to, okay, take a deep breath. Everyone's getting a little overworked. Where's the problems at? Solve it now, because it's not going to improve. It's not going to fix itself.
Yes, exactly. And it's happened to me quite recently as well within my agency, and we always give feedback. It's one of the main things I learned working for a massive tech company.
Mm-hmm.
Always get feedback. Always get feedback, no matter how painful it is. And especially feedback from your people, the people who are doing the processes day to day, because they know the process more than you.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, and where possible, right, to try to get them to improve the process themselves, or at least offer their input,
Right.
like, hey, this could be
Yeah.
done better, because yeah, they're the ones doing
Ownership.
it. So yeah.
Yes, exactly. And that's where also a lot of CEOs I see fail. And it's not really their fault, because a lot of businesses, when they start, especially small businesses, they don't necessarily have employees straight away. They might have contractors, and contractors have like 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 other clients as well.
Yeah.
So they're not 100% dedicated to you. So I always do advise for my CEOs who are wanting to really get 7 figures, multiple 6 figures, you have to hire full-time people, because the culture is then going to be committed to the business. You can't have a contractor who's non-committed to your processes. They're not going to be 100% accurate at the time, nor they're going to strive to be 100% accurate, unless they're a really, really, really wonderful human contractor,
Yeah.
that take that much pride in their work. A lot of the time, a full-time employee should do the business or process or audit the systems and processes inside your business a lot more than a contractor.
Definitely, that makes a
Ideally.
lot of sense. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm kind of curious then. Let's take a personal dive into this area. So I see that you're active on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, other places. How do you keep up, and how do you do that? How are you in so many places? What kind of processes do you have for this?
Yes. So there's 4 things. One, when I'm about to do something, I think about this in this way. So one, do I get to automate the thing? A lot of my Instagram, all of that posting, even my stories
Mm-hmm.
are automated.
Mm-hmm.
Is it something that I can outsource? And a lot of new entrepreneurs, no. The answer is no. They cannot outsource because it costs money. They don't have the cash flow yet. That's okay. But as soon as you can, and even before you're ready, you can outsource the things that is taking too long in your time because it's actually costing you money because you're not selling, which is what you should be doing as a CEO at the beginning. Or can you delegate it? Again, you don't have to outsource it. Can you delegate it to a family member? Can you bribe your young kid to do it for you? You know,
Yeah.
I have a CEO where I think her 13-year-old is in charge of like her Instagram or something.
Oh, that's great.
Right? Because everyone is so tech savvy now, and the young, even really, really young children. So I don't know if it's good for good parenting, but that's another
It's
story.
effective in terms of efficiency. Yeah.
Yes. So and then what was the other one? Or just delete the tasks,
Yeah.
right? So those are the things: automate, outsource, delete, or delegate.
I love it.
And
100%.
yes. And if you're brand new, and I always give the different advice. If you're brand new, try to automate, try to make smart software decisions so that you can automate as much as you can.
Yeah.
And then when the higher up you are, then the more you can outsource and delegate. And delete. And when you're brand new as well, I always say delete. Just delete it for that quarter. Go. It has to go to the next quarter. Try the next quarter. For now, delete it as a task.
Yeah, I will pile on this as well and say, like, this is, yeah, I do this at a weekly level and then a quarterly level. And this is exactly the questions I ask myself, you know, like, what could I automate, outsource, delegate, or delete? And, you know, if it's questionable, then it definitely has to be one of those, and it might be delete. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's really hard. This is not an easy task, by the way, especially for the high achievers, which a lot of entrepreneurs are, because that's how you get into entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
It's really, really, really hard actually to come up with this list. But that's why I work with my clients and we figure out, you know, their mission statement, their vision statement, and the values and what they really want to achieve, because it all really boils down to that. And then if anything it doesn't fit into their mission statement and their vision statement in the next, you know, not even 5 years, but in the next 6 months, then we delete it. And that's a good way to solve that problem.
Nice. I think that's a great idea. Yeah. And people can do this on their own too, just doing the kind of a reflection and doing that. I think that's so powerful. Okay, so speaking of powerful here, we got a few more minutes and I wanted to touch on this. So physical and mental strength, right? That can be combined. And I've found that, you know, it makes a powerful thing just when I'm feeling healthy, not that I have to be literally powerful, but when I'm healthy, I'm doing better. So I'm curious, you mentioned powerlifting. And so, you know, one, do you believe in that kind of healthy mind, healthy body? And then, you know, do you advocate other people, you know, fitting in exercise as part of, you know, their must do type of activities?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like hundreds of studies have proven this to be
Yeah.
true. But of course, just because it's true, people are motivated to do it. So again, and yeah, I always believe that sports allows self-discipline, and if you force yourself to do something that you probably hate, the actual physical evidence of what it does to your brain chemicals is that it actually motivates you. And this is why I always want to do some kind of exercise in the morning, even though I'm not powerlifting. But during COVID lockdown, I would do a HIIT workout in the morning after my breakfast, because it just gives you that that energy boost. It can, again, if you hate exercise or whatever, try to do something. Walk 10,000 steps. You know, do 4-minute Tabata. You'll be the important thing is you have that physical, like you're out of breath, you're breathing, you know, and your body is a machine. Like, don't never underestimate your body. That can do a million different things in a day, including really vigorous exercise. Yeah, it's and I used to have a big problem actually, and it's quite common with people who do a lot of bodybuilding as well. It's like a feeling of itchiness when you don't go to the gym often.
Yes.
I don't know if you feel so. I struggled really hard in the first 6 months that the gyms were locked down. I got used to it eventually. I actually even bought a whole gym set, and then I moved house and I couldn't bring them out of the gym. But and I got used to it, and then I had to do more HIIT workout, like all of that stuff, pushing my body. But that's just proof of how exercise can be addictive. So it really does affect your chemicals in your brain.
Yeah,
But
definitely. I
yeah,
feel the same way. Yeah, with running, I'm the same way, and so I've got
yes.
to watch that too because you can also like lifting weights, you can overtrain, and so it's finding that balance and being like, well, if I can't run, maybe I'll go for a walk, but still getting some form of exercise.
Yes, and rest is so important.
Yeah.
Rest is so important. It's part of an athlete's regime. It's like, you need your 8 hours. Some people only need like 7, 6, 4. I think Michael Jordan only needed 4.
Oh,
Like some, like he was really fit. I don't know if it's like a thing I read on the internet. It's probably not true, but some people, like a percentage of the population, only needs 4 hours. It's like a genetic
huh.
variation, which is amazing. How many?
Yeah, so many productive hours. I am definitely not in that small percentage. So
No, I'm about 7.5. I realize anything over 8.5, I'm like sleepy when I
mhm.
wake up. So mine optimum is about 7.5. So yeah.
Cool. Well, last question for you here. I'm really interested in this. What book or article or video do you find yourself recommending the most to people these days?
Oh gosh. Okay, I've got so many in my head.
All right. I won't
Um,
limit you to one, maybe two, maybe two. We'll go with two. I always give people some leeway on this.
yeah. So right now I'm reading The Millionaire's Mind.
Hmm.
And it's all about, yeah, The Millionaire's Mind. Obviously, there's like classic, like the 12-week year. You've probably heard of that one.
Uh-huh.
Um, And my favorite book that I will reread over and over again, it's one of those books that I think it's really famous, and it's one of those things that means a lot to different people. And I think the more you read it, the more you get a lot of it, depending on what stage of life you're in. And that's The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. And it's really for people who are feeling a little bit lost, and or fear, or know what they want, but like are fearful of getting it.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's my favorite book, the Alchemist by Paulo
Cool.
Coelho.
All right. Well, I will add those on there for sure. Those are good. I've only heard of the 12-week year. I'm going to have to check out the other two. So, Pauline, thank you so much for a great interview. I mean, I've gotten some stuff. I've got tons of notes here, things to add to the show notes, and I'm sure everyone listening has loved this as well. So, where can people go to find out more about you and what you're up to?
Yes, so I'm on Instagram at CEO Pauline Malubay. I think I'm also CEO Pauline Malubay on LinkedIn, and also on Facebook, Pauline Malubay. And my website is helpmepauline.com. That's my agency. But I'm mostly active on Instagram. And also I have a podcast, How She Owns It. That's published everywhere. So just put How She Owns It, and I'll pop up somewhere. And I'm sure I have a YouTube channel as well, but I don't have a URL for that yet because we're not really growing it.
Gotcha. Well,
Yeah.
I will put all of those in the show notes so people can check it out. Thank you again so much. This has been great.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Real World Productivity Podcast. If you know someone that would enjoy this episode, please grab the link and send it via email, message, or whatever means works best. Now, if you're looking for more ways to increase your productivity, time management, and team building skills, be sure to go to productivity.academy/resources to find out what tools, cheat sheets, and services can get you started and make the most impact right now. For those who want to make fast changes and want to save dozens of hours, I highly recommend joining the 14-day Productivity Foundation Challenge at productivity.academy/foundation challenge. This 14-day challenge takes minutes per day, but will help you develop or improve your daily review to get more done with less distractions and loss of focus. You'll also get over-the-shoulder directions for setting up an automation to save dozens of hours, and the process for deciding what else you should automate and how to do it. And if you're serious about continuous improvement and you know that productivity, time management, and team building will impact every area of your personal and professional life, join us in the Growth Automation membership. Find out more at productivity.academy/join.